Hi there everybody, it's Martin Twycross here with another talk, and today's video is an inspired address that I did during an online service at a Spiritualist church. The topic of the address is seeing a greater reality, and in it I talk about how glimpses of truth in this world can help open our minds and our awareness to a greater reality. The address does have a slightly unorthodox beginning, but I use that to illustrate the ideas that I go on to talk about. So if this sounds of interest to you, then do stay with me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. So I thought I'd start by asking you all a question. How fast have you ever been? What an odd question to ask, I know. Some of you may think to your car and think maybe you've been 70, 80, 90 mile an hour. Maybe some of you are naughty and have driven at 100 mile an hour. Some of you may think about trains. A lot of the fast trains these days can do 200 miles an hour. If I did a show of hands, how many of you have gone 500 miles an hour? I wonder. Anybody been 500? I can see a few of you waving that you have. Absolutely. The reason being, if you've been on a plane, chances are you've gone 500 miles an hour. Who in the room has been faster than 500 miles an hour? Who's done 1,000 miles an hour? I can see nobody waving at me. But interestingly, has anyone flown over the equator or been anywhere near the equator of the Earth? Most of you, yeah. In which case you've been 1,000 miles an hour, because the rotational speed of the Earth at the equator is approximately 1,000 miles an hour. Anybody been faster than 1,000 miles an hour, I wonder? Because when we think about it, does the Earth not orbit the sun? Do we not go around the sun every so often? 365 days in a year? At which speed we go at 66,000 miles an hour. How awesome is that? 66,000 miles an hour. And then also our solar system is moving within the galaxy. And now we're travelling at 500,000 miles an hour. It just so happens that the galaxy we inhabit is also moving through space as well, at 1.2 million miles an hour. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the fastest address you've ever been part of, I can tell. Because we're going right now at 1.2 million miles an hour. But why am I telling you all these strange numbers and figures? Why? Because most of us do not recognize the truth. Most of us are oblivious to the truth. For most of us, we don't even realise that at this moment in time in the UK, we're probably moving at 600-700 miles an hour just with the rotational movement of the Earth. Because we don't see it. We see the sky change throughout the day, but we don't recognise it's us that's moving. We think it's the sky moving. We think it's the sun moving. All of these things we do not recognise because we're not seeing it from the right frame of reference. Now, some of you have a belief in life after death, others will not. Many of my own family tell me that I'm not with it. I'm a part of a strange cult which believes in a life after death where we can communicate with loved ones. My dad used to tell me that I was part of a cult. Their view is, when you're dead, you're dead. This life is all there is. That's their frame of reference. Their frame of reference is they're in a physical body, on a physical earth, living a physical existence, here and now. And of course, many of us, we say we're spiritual beings, having a human existence, don't we? But where is our evidence for that? Where have we gained that knowledge from? And I've got a scientific background, and I could argue with anybody who said to me about mediumship, that you're linking with the spirit world. I could argue pretty comprehensively well many different things that could be potentially happening. I happen to believe that as mediums we do link with the spirit world. I don't just happen to believe it, I know it. And hopefully when I demonstrate my mediumship I can bring through evidence that shows it. But just as over time people didn't understand the Earth's relationship with the sun, the planets, the stars. Many people do not understand the nature of our true existence. We gain glimpses of truth, glimpses of reality, Just as Aristotle in 330 BC, he watched the stars, he watched the planets, and he watched the ellipses and motion of the planets, and he worked out that the Earth was round, and he worked out that we were in elliptical orbits. 330 BC. And many of us gain glimpses and understanding and realise there is an afterlife. But some don't. Some don't. But then, of course, we come to mediumship. Whereas mediums, we bring forward loved ones, we bring forward evidence, which for some will awaken them. For some will open our eyes to a new reality, a greater reality, an afterlife, the truth of the afterlife. I'm part of a spiritualist forum. There was a gentleman on there who posted that he'd been for readings with all these mediums, and he listed some of the finest mediums I know. And he said he'd never had evidence of survival from anybody. Never had any decent evidence. And he paid for all these readings with all these people. And I thought, how terribly sad if that's the case. And it was a little while ago, and I just contacted him and said, I will give you a reading for free, in the hope I can give you some evidence. And I always record my readings. I did this reading for him, and he acknowledged his loved ones were there. And afterwards he said, I actually wanted to pay you for the reading because you've given me so much evidence of survival. And I thought, that's it. He's happy now. I was a little bit surprised to see 3 months later the same post appear. I've had readings with all these mediums and none of them have given me any evidence of survival. And my name was tagged on the end. And it's like, aha. Some people, even though we present evidence, we present a reality, their brains will not understand it. Their brains will choose not to believe it. But why do we even have mediumship in the first place? Now, many of you will say to comfort the bereaved, and absolutely, it does comfort the bereaved. Many of you will say it's healing, and absolutely, it is healing. But for me, the purpose of mediumship is to awaken us. The purpose of mediumship is to let us know of the reality that our loved ones survive physical death, but within that is a much greater message. And that much greater message is that we too survive physical death, that we too are eternal. But all of us will find that out for ourselves one day. None of us can escape that transition we know as death. As spiritualists, we do not like the word death. We use passing, transition. We don't like to use the D word. It sounds too final. So all of us have to face that one day. All of us will find out for ourselves the reality. My own loved ones will find out for themselves the reality. My dad took his transition to spirit in 2006 and he found out for himself the reality of what I spoke about. He's been back through mediums many times. And he said, yes, son, you're right. When you're dead, you're not dead. I was wrong. You were right. When you're dead, you're not dead. He knows. He's found out. In changing his frame of reference, he sees it all now. How could he not? When he took that transition, he still carried on as a mind, as a consciousness. He carried on as the person he was. He knows the reality. But Spirit wants us to know the reality here and now. The purpose of mediumship for me is to awaken us in the here and now. Not when we get to the spirit world, but for us to know right now, in this life, that we are more than we perceive ourselves to be. If you like, they're moving us away from the physical, where we think we go 100, 200 or 500 miles an hour. They're pulling us away from that to see the bigger picture. That actually, we're going many thousands or millions of miles an hour. They're awakening us to that knowledge that exists. That we are spiritual beings having this human existence. And they don't want to tell us that just to give us that information. It's not just about that. It's more than that. It's more than that. They want us to know so that we can live from that knowledge. They want us to know so we can do something different about our lives. They want us to know so that when we reach the spirit world, we have created for ourselves the lives we would like in spirit. They want us to know so we can move away from what we perceive matters within this physical world, but move to what truly matters to our soul, what truly matters to our spirit, what truly matters to us when we reach the spirit world. When we look at the messages that come back time and time again from mediums, they tell us what matters. The messages of loved ones that come through time and time again give us the clues, the insights, the understanding. People matter. Love matters. Friendships matter. Family matter. The service, help and healing we give other people matters a great deal. Silver Birch, the great guide of the medium Maurice Barbanel, always said that service is the coin of the spirit world. Service is what makes you rich in the spirit world. We don't take anything with us. We come with nothing. We go with nothing. We don't take any wealth we've accumulated here. We don't take our houses, our clothes, our possessions, our cars. We don't take any status we've accumulated within this earthly world. What we take is the work and development we've done on the soul. What we take is the experiences we've had that have helped us to some degree. What we take with us is our understanding. What we take with us is those bonds of love that exist with those we've shared time with in our lives. And what we take with us is the help, the service we've given other people. And that's what Spirit wants us to know. They don't want us to be focused upon the purely physical. Yes, we live in a physical world. Yes, we have to pay our rent. We have to pay our mortgages. We have to put food on the table. We have to look after our families. We have to do all of that within a physical world, absolutely. But we don't want to lose sight of the fact that we are spirit here and now. We don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is but one step of a much greater adventure. We don't want to lose sight of the fact that this world is preparation for our next stage of existence. What we do here will create the life we inherit when we reach the spirit world. We cannot create an abundant lifestyle in the spirit world by physically creating here, with money, with objects, with possessions. What we can do to create abundance within the spirit world is to be kind, compassionate, caring, loving. Be there for people. Give of yourself and expect nothing in return. When we allow ourselves to be a soul, a spirit that recognizes the interconnection with all people, when we recognize there is no separation, when we recognize that when we help another, we help ourselves, then we are starting to see from that different frame of reference. Then we are starting to see the movement of the stars and the galaxies within the sky. When we start to see from our soul, we will recognize the truth in all things. We will see those glimpses of truth merge into a different understanding. I hope those words help in some way. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, do hit the like button and do leave me a comment. If you enjoy my teaching and my talks, then do subscribe to the channel and check out my other videos. So I hope you found the video helpful. I hope you got a lot from it, and I look forward to seeing you all again in the next one.